March, and my grandmother, Brian's mother, is getting older, and she really needs closure. And as a mother myself, I can't imagine raising a child to be 20 years old, a good kid, making it into the engineering program at UT, and then having him just disappear. And then for it to be 45 years for there to be a missing persons case filed, and for other people and public to start looking for him, I can't imagine what my grandmother has gone through, and it's time that she get closure for herself, and then my uncle's siblings as well.
So when did you all file the missing persons report, and why did you decide to do so?
The missing persons report was filed this past January, I believe, is when I did it. We went ahead and did it now because I had found out that the missing persons report was not officially filed back in 1976. There were many reasons, but one big one was when my grandmother called to file a missing persons report, she was discouraged by whomever was going to take the report. They said something along the lines of, he's an adult, he's 18, maybe he wanted nobody to look for him, or he wanted to disappear. And so I guess she never called back. She did reach out to the Salvation Army, which has a missing persons or people locating department, and over the years they never found anything, so they closed that in the early 80s. Are there any questions I can answer?
You went missing at 18 or going into college?
Okay, so he was actually from Houston, and he graduated from Westchester High School in Houston. Then he attended the University of Texas here in Austin, which is why we think he may have gone missing from Austin. But we actually found out this year that he withdrew from school prior to his disappearance. So the circumstances are very iffy in whether he wanted to disappear or whether there was foul play. So yes, he was at UT in the engineering program when he disappeared and had just withdrawn.
Did he struggle with depression or anything?
So we have a lot of letters and some journals that he wrote for his English papers in college, and he says in the beginning of his journal that he's going to speak to his professor as if his professor is his therapist, and so he's very frank and honest about things, and it seems like yes, he probably did have depression and anxiety. Was it enough to commit suicide or want to just drop off the face of the earth or jump off the Mopac Bridge? We really don't know. I actually never knew him. I was born 10 years after his disappearance, so I never personally got to meet him. So I only know him from what he writes to people or in his journals. Do I think he was depressed enough to actually take his own life? I really don't think so. Yeah, he struggled, but I don't feel that it was that bad. I feel that he realized that, yes, he had depression, yes, he had problems, but I don't think that it was enough to take his life.
Was he well known? Was he well liked? Popular?
So in high school, I know he wasn't like with a popular crowd, but he wasn't with the non-popular crowd. Yes, he did have friends, and yes, he did fun things. And he worked at a Safeway in the Memorial area of Houston. That was also a job that he would return to during Christmas or during the summer when he would go home to Houston. And as for at UT, he seemed to, yes, have friends, but his friends and his roommates didn't seem to do as much as I would have thought people living in Austin would do. Especially, I know, festivals are big here, and even back then festivals were big. And they can't tell me that they went to things like that or attended bars and live music concerts. So I really, it's kind of iffy on how popular or what kind of things he did. Okay, if anybody has any information on what happened to Brian Vargo, or if you may have seen him 45 years ago get into a car, or if he was on the side of the road, anything, or even if you have pictures of him in your pictures from 1975, 1976, if he's in the background of any of your pictures, those things could help us find out where he was at any certain time. Anyways, if you have any information like that, please call Crime Stoppers. And there's a reward for anybody who has information leading to his whereabouts or anything that could have happened to him. I do have a photograph. The ones that I have in here are actually not the last ones that we have. I do also have a Facebook page with more recent pictures of him. Can I lift it around the mic? Okay. Do you want me to just flip through it? Okay. So the Facebook page is Searching for Brian Vargo. Yes, today he would be about 65. Yes, his name would be spelled B-R-I-A-N, Vargo, V-A-R-G-O, and his middle name was Thomas.
And you said the pictures are on the Facebook page?
Yes, ma'am. The pictures are on the Facebook page, more up-to-date ones, or I should say.
One picture in there in particular you can concentrate on, or maybe one of them where he's older?
Yes. Let me go to the later ones.
There we go. Yeah, right there.
I believe this picture was around 16. The last picture that we have, or known picture, is of him at Christmas time, 1975. So that would have been 3 months before his disappearance.
How old was he when he disappeared?
He was 20.
Okay, so that's not that far away from that picture.
Right, it's not that far away, but
It's still 4 years. That gives us an idea of what
yeah. Are there any other questions?
I can only imagine, like looking for somebody that I loved and then being kind of dismissed, like, well, maybe they just like went away. That seems very dismissive to me.
Right, and actually with all the, it is very dismissive, and I hear that there's an issue with people that are taking calls for missing persons, saying things like they have to be gone for over 24 hours, or they're an adult, maybe they don't want to be found. And honestly, I do realize that it's very unlikely that he is out there. There are very few scenarios in which he could be out there. I mean, we live in a digital world where everybody has a digital footprint, and we can't find one on him. And I mean, the scenarios are pretty much he left the country, or he is living off the grid and has lived off the grid for 45 years. I can't imagine being my grandmother, but she's ready for closure at this point. Sure, thank you. Did I give enough information?
I think so. You gave the Facebook page, you gave his age, his name,
Did I speak in complete sentences?
Yes.
Well
Yeah,
enough?
What was the Facebook?